I know that you've all been prepared for this, but I thought I'd just remind you just the same.
Can you handle that, Blondie?
Game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
It was pure evil.
I want to buy some radio ad time.
Back for another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Dewey.
And we've got Karen Mack in the back. This is Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. Let's get to it, motherfuckers. Alright, Noel, we were back only one day away. We were from the 60s, and now we're in the 70s, and this time it was your choice, Alice, Sweet Alice, a movie I'd never seen before.
Same.
And I'd never even heard of it, to be honest with you.
The mask from it seemed iconic. I can't, don't know, it just appears, and you know, you'd be on YouTube and you'd be looking at compilations of classic horrors or what have you, and the mask, the almost like a child wearing some blush or some sort of makeup, almost transparent plastic mask, and the yellow raincoat, and that was I'm going to say iconic in the fact that I feel like I've always been seeing it. So when I was looking for, you picked the 60s film, I picked the 70s film, and I was looking and I said, right, I'm not going to overthink this. I haven't seen this film, and I recognised the image. Yeah. And I ended up really enjoying the film. I just really ended up enjoying it.
It's a really fucking weird movie.
It's a really fucking weird movie.
Yeah, it really is.
And it just like unnecessarily bizarre. Like, but I was sitting there watching it with
that fucking neighbour dude.
That neighbour, that fucking neighbour dude.
Christ.
Mr. Alfonso.
Yeah,
Mr. Alfonso.
Where's his fucking eyebrows?
Yeah, where's his fucking eyebrows? At them, I assume.
Jesus Christ. Is that a fat joke, dude? We don't do fat jokes in 2021.
We're both big dudes. I don't know why the fuck I think
big in our trousers.
But anyway, I fucking
trouser snakes aren't extinct around here.
Yeah, that's what's got 140 teeth and holding back a monster. My zipper.
It's like he just put it on the table.
Don't make me back any of this up. But anyway, this film, I just thought, well, it was a very young Brooke Shields, was kind of surreal as well.
Like, extremely young, like embryonic Brooke Shields.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you know, like, bro, she's been in the business so long, like, but she's always been, to me, like, the earliest rendition I have of her is Suddenly Susan in the 90s and stuff like that. But she played the Not Long for This World, Karen. And I have to say, like, first
all
thing,
Karens deserve
when it comes to a killer, like, there's a killer, who's the killer,
who done it,
red herrings kind of film. All I want, I have to say, they managed to sneak the killer under my radar, which I respect. And
felt Bone Collector-ish nearly to me, like not in the way the movie is, but the reveal of the killer. Yeah, because when Bone Collector, like, that killer was, when you, in retrospect, you look back, he's in and around the place. Yeah, by such an ancillary character that you kind of forget about him. Yes, and you never expect. And like when you came in today when I was finishing up the movie. And even when the reveal, I was like, "Is she your one?" And like you kind of,
said, "No, that's
that's insane because you're such a background character, like not even tertiary, even maybe past that." Like,
absolutely, but that was at the same time it worked because the one thing Jihad established her as was
when you said that had established, sounds like you said Jihadistan,
and I did not, by the way.
When she had a Jihadistan.
But she was taking care of the priest. She was a very pure old country woman, and
old school as the guy.
Yeah, and even just and I think the story really boils down to the priest giving this precious cross that he had to Karen, played by Brooke Shields, and he even says the line, he goes, "Who else would I give it to?" Yeah, and she was the mother.
He said, "My mother's dead."
Yeah. The mother would have been pregnant going into her marriage, which would have been, in the eyes of a Puritan, such as
living in sin.
Yeah, and she gets this precious cross.
Because the Catholic Church know about living in sin, don't they?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The Catholics are that.
Hashtag, this is when monsters.
This is when they were. This was allowed to try to fucking pull that shit with us.
Yeah.
But like the mother, Catherine. But this is So this is then, you see later at the communion, that it was very odd to see in a film in the 70s just a child actually taken and strangled to death kind of on screen.
That was insane.
That was insane.
Like, have you ever seen that in a movie?
I can't think of another movie. We always go back to like very surreal things, like the kid dying in the blob
or some shit.
Yeah, and it was like to actually see him die.
Yeah,
Dr. Sleep had a very gratuitous death scene for a child.
Yeah,
but so I've seen it, but never that. No,
we didn't see him being fed on though. Like it was hinted at. Like like as soon as the true knot. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
When the true knot jump on him, you only see their bodies.
Exactly. So this
was
it seems like she's been strangled by I don't know if I'm wrong here, but was it a very large mass candle? It was a white kind of
a candle,
like
she
a
got
mass.
strangled by a candle.
It seemed to me she was taken by a white, like a white bar, and it was strangled. She struggled and stuff.
Did someone Cluedo her?
Huh?
She got Cluedoed?
She got Cluedoed.
Oh my god!
In the communion with the candlestick.
Yeah.
But with the actual candle, I think it was just such a huge dance.
I think it was Sweet Alice.
Yeah. And then she gets dragged through the side of the church, but into a box that gets the cross taken off. Yeah. And then what I thought was absolutely fucking insane is she lights a candle and puts it into the box with the child.
Yeah, sets it on fire.
And I was just like, wow, strong opening.
Yeah, I think that's probably the strongest part of the entire film.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was crazy. And that was right. You could see, though, when she was putting the child in the box, that it was clearly, it wasn't even our killer, really. It was a fully grown-ass man, because he was able to pick up. Now, don't get me wrong, Brooke Shields was probably a 12 or 13-year-old girl at the time, and she was quite small, petite, so you would be able, but you would still need to be big enough to actually just effortlessly lift her and just kind of drop her into a box.
And it's because we see later on the killer's an old woman. Like, so,
we see the killer's an old
but
woman.
she was probably powered by crazy.
Well, that was it.
By the Lord. Powered by the Lord.
Oh god! But there were so many really over the top characters. Like, this was the thing. This film for me had the remnants of the corny acting of the '60s, and it would kind of give her the '70s backdrop, because when they find the child, everyone starts screaming, which you would expect. But then she just runs out and she goes, "She's dead, Catherine. She's dead." Or the landlord, the really obese guy with all the cats, and he was very over the top. And he was like very demure. And he talked like this. He was always fanning himself, and I loved some of the over the topness of it. The relationship with the priest and everything. But I thought with killing a child very early on, it just, with all this kind of quite silliness in some ways around it, it was still an extremely dark story.
Yeah, it was a weird. I think it was like, because straight away the Brooke Shields character gets killed, Karen, that straight away you're like, what the fuck is this movie all about?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then when it unfolds, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
yeah.
Like, because a couple of times when I was watching that movie, I was like, what? Like, who's he? Why is he obsessed with cats? Where's his eyebrows?
Where's your eyebrows?
And he seems like the creepiest dude ever, and they constantly let kids go over to him. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean?
The parents thinking he's that was the thing. They revealed quite early that he was a paedophile.
Yeah,
because he tries to make a move on Alice. And quite like tries to use physical force. She seems to break one of the kittens' necks to get away.
And you said she was like 18.
She was 18. The actress played because
so weird.
My girlfriend said to me, "Is that like, why does she sound like she's 25?"
Yeah.
And you asked me if there was a voice actor.
Yeah, I was like,
well, there I was checking, but I found out she was 18 at the time, and I was like, okay, well, she's got an adult's voice because she was a bloody adult.
I was like, what the fuck? Because I was like, wait, did they do ADR because she's supposed to try to make her sound more mature?
And even a lot of times they're trying to say, is she the killer and is she psychotic? Because the killer wore the same mask that she had wore, and the killer shows up in her apartment and stabs her aunt and all this kind of stuff. Stabs the fuck out of her aunt.
Oh my god.
The thing that bugged me was how bad, like, they hadn't mastered blood.
Yeah,
at the time.
It's so red.
And it's even like the aunt gets stabbed in the foot, and then the aunt gets stabbed in the leg, and then the aunt crawls out into the rain and gets put in the back of the car, and you could just see like the rain, and I mean absolutely monsoon rain, and it just did not do anything to the blood that was on the street.
Just in a big
It was like
pool.
basically, and again, I think
it
when
was 6 inches thick corn syrup.
oh my god,
It's like it's been raining for 2 weeks. It's still a pool of red there. It's just so solidified.
I just thought this film was so well shot. I really enjoyed it in ways I can't even fully explain. I think there's something about the authenticity of a 70s film shot in the 70s, especially when it's all that's new is old and what's all that's old is new again.
Yeah.
It's so everything was so.
You just blew my mind with that statement. I'm very tired and fragile right now. Don't be doing that shit.
But I did feel like it just made use of its era. It felt like the 70s.
Yeah.
You know, and I just felt really immersed in it, and I found myself like taking in the rooms.
Yeah,
I just even the way people dressed and the kind of overtness of the characters. Like the aunt had the pussy whipped husband, who's like just does what he's told. Aunt Annie. Yeah. And when she gets stabbed and she's in the hospital, I love Alice. I love Alice. And the cop goes in, who's did this? And the mother's like, don't you dare tell her. It was Alice. And everybody's going, you don't believe me. None of you believe me. And it was, oh my God, the hamminess. Yeah. And the director kind of went, I cannot stress this enough. Eat the scenery. Yeah. Eat it.
Do you think it would have been a stronger movie if the big reveal had been like do you think Alice should have been the killer, or
I don't think. Well, I don't think there was a few scenes like where you could see they're clearly been watched from somebody from behind the wall and stuff like that. And I don't know if they could have had Alice be the killer and wrapped it all up. I think it would have been cool if she was, but you have to say that not to jump to the end, but you could see that there's something brewing in Alice.
Yeah,
and
it'd be crazy.
So when we find out that I'm trying to think of the name of the actual woman here on the cheat sheet who turned out to be our killer.
Oh shit, I don't even have the cheat sheet for this one up yet.
Yeah,
Such a professional.
There was Father Tom, Detective Spina. Not such a great name. I bet you it was Spina.
Dead air. So like one thing I liked about this movie was it's like a pure raw slasher where it's like the killer just gets the fucking knife out all the time. She's one knife happy motherfucker in this movie.
Huge. Tredoni, Mrs. Tredoni, by the way.
It's like hey Mr.
Yeah. Do you even see when you see where Alice is? The cops all think it's Alice, and she takes a lie detector test, and she says that it's her deceased sister.
Yeah.
But she passes that question on the test.
Yeah.
So obviously it brings into question the whole thing. There's a difference between lying and being incorrect.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because the problem with lie detectors is if you perceive something to be true, your body will react
as if it's true.
Telling the truth, exactly. You know what I mean? So that's why lie detectors are inadmissible in most courts. I think, because when it comes to it, she thought that was Karen. Okay, it's Karen, her sister.
Karen was her sister. Brooke Shields was Karen.
So she thought it was Karen. So in her mind, she's right when she says.
And I was thinking, I was thinking about that, and I think it was the cross because the woman was wearing Karen's cross. Yeah. And I never got the point that the woman was trying to necessarily flame. I think she hated the family. Yeah. I think, and you find out later, like one of her motives was that she lost a child on the day of their communion. Yeah. And that's when God taught me that the children pay for the sins of the parent. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, you are such a good, absolute insane bitch.
Yeah. And who do you think? What do you think her sin was?
Oh, I actually don't know. I think she was racked with guilt. Again, you have to understand probably just how old country she was. Yeah, she was old country. Remember when she commits one of the murders? I think it's when she commits the murder against the father, Karen and Alice's father, which was a great scene, by the way. I want to circle back to it, but she's hiding out in the church trying to change out of her killer clothes, and she hides in a confessional, and the priest happens to come in, and then she just confesses to having like these dark thoughts. Yeah, and to her, like. It's that weird thing that you get from religious fundamentalism sometimes in movies where they can do absolutely atrocious things in the name of their religion and then feel really, really guilty about it also in the name of their religion. Yeah. And that they can somehow both exist in the same time, in the same person.
What is there any more contrite? Is that the right word for in terms of religions, whereas like with Catholicism, like how many people have gone out and acted in the name of God, as soon as they commit the act, they turn around and just ask for forgiveness, because that's what Catholicism is. Like, no matter how horrible your life is, if you ask for penance and believe it before you die, you get last rites, you go to heaven. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with Catholicism in a lot of ways. You have that vicious circle. No matter how bad my acts are, as long as it's in the name of the Lord, it's grand, and then I can always ask the Lord for forgiveness.
Well, I can't think of the name of the show. It was kind of a comedy where the devil and the guys all work in the shop or something like that, and he ends up having to go after this guy and get him to sign away his soul, and he was like, no, I'm just going to keep doing really, really, really bad shit, and then like on my deathbed I'm going to like ask for forgiveness, and the guy turns to the devil, he can't do that, I mean, he can't do that. The devil's just like,
exactly.
No, I'm not happy about it either.
It's like they always say, like serial killers, whatever. If you,
if you repent, you can find, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But that was it. She all of her atrocious acts, and she was the one who was taking care of priests in a house, and she was so driven by her faith, and she could see even in Italian she was praying to Saint Michael and stuff like that. Saint Michael, who she thinks is the one who took her own child and stuff like that. So it was a whole thing where you're wondering if Alice is, because obviously she had behavioral problems, even like they alluded to psychosis, they alluded to schizophrenia, identity disorders, and
she was always like bullying her sister.
But it's even things they never even explained, like when the cops do come and they think she's the killer and they lock her up in the kind of institution for children. There's actually a really cool scene and where they're talking to the doctor, and she's like, oh, we're going to get our own therapist and our own lawyers and all this kind of stuff, and your one's just like, yeah, you've every right to do that. And then when they get up to go out, and she goes, Mrs. Spogalis or something like that, whatever your one's name is, why didn't your daughter Spagus, why didn't your daughter tell you that she's started menstruating? And your one was just dumb. I loved it was just a different scene, men and women. The father just didn't look. He just like,
man, funny that you say that about the menstruation. In yesterday's episode, we were talking about Rosemary's Baby. Do you remember when she walks in one of the scenes, the two women come over when she gets the necklace? Yeah. And she walks in, she just goes, you okay? Yeah, I'm just on the first day of my period. I was like, let's just
getting my pee on.
Yeah, just get my period on. I'm on my Menzies. I just thought that was fucking weird. But yeah, back to Alice. Like, I like the way they played on the bit. She was the ultimate red herring.
Yes,
Alice, isn't she though? Like,
and when you just keep one character as this pendulous red herring that's just always in the scenery, and you're kind of wondering, well, now they've oversold it, so she is. Wait, now they've so oversold it that she isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, and just in your head, they've come around so many because I mean, it was just like it's Alice. The film's called Alice Sweet Alice. It's about Alice. Have you noticed how weird Alice is?
Yeah, exactly.
And why not turn out to be Alice? So I thought, like you said, ultimate red herring. Like, beautifully so.
Yeah, because like the whole movie is like, look how weird Alice is. Look how unstable Alice is. Look, like pretty much like it's kind of like a reverse, kind of like you're making a case for something. Because like they show the act, and in reverse, they're like, look at all the different things and how she behaves in her life to show that she could be capable of the act.
She was already a bully. She was already showing like weird. There's even a scene where she's with the aunt, so she drops the bottle of milk on the ground and starts going, "Don't hit me!" But you could tell she was literally gaslighting, trying to create a scenario for her mother to walk in on. She was definitely a disturbed child. But there's always going to be a difference between behavioural disorders, and this was a thing that films, to be fair, sometimes didn't treat people who have any sort of mental difficulties in any kind of facet, that this does not equal this. That behavioural disorders don't equal like literal serial murders.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you, the viewer, you don't know if what she has can swing so far that way. And then when it turns out to be the older woman who minds the Monsignors all over a fucking cross. I actually thought, you think it was going to be like a weak reveal. Well, I actually thought it was a cool reveal. I was just, all I want, so many times you guess the killer. I always tell you about the thing where I saw, which I won't name because I don't want to give it away, but I was like, it was actually Sheila who spotted it first. I'll give her credit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and she was like, so that guy's not real. There's only one character that's actually interesting. Like, he's talking and you'd think people are listening, but look, nobody's going to answer him. So it's this person, because this person's the only one interacting with.
It's great the way you're not spoiling it for the audience, but yet didn't mind spoiling it for me when you told me initially.
Yeah, but I care about our audience.
Growing.
Yeah, I saved you. Also, don't watch it. But,
I probably won't.
But you know, this one I thought with the reveal, I went, "Oh fucking hell! It's the old one, the Mine's the Priest."
Yeah,
that was my edge. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, no, I didn't even recognize her. Like I was just like, "Oh, who's she? Who did I think it was first? Like a neighbor or some shit."
I said to Sheila that you know what it is, and I was wrong, so I can definitely go ahead with this. Is I thought it was somebody who lived in the building and dressed her like her and was getting rid of people that she didn't like, like her own sister, and the aunt starts stabbing the aunt. And I said it's somebody who is disturbed and sees themselves in Alice and wants to connect with them.
Who the fuck is Alice?
Yeah, exactly.
Alice.
But I thought Alice was great in this, you have to say as well. Because not only did she have these even just her traits where she'd go down to the landlord and call him fatty, and even though he was he's made sexual advances towards, she still wasn't afraid of him.
Yeah,
she's
sociopathic.
She was sociopathic. Yeah.
So I don't think she feels fear. I think she enjoys the danger of the situation,
or wants to feel anything at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it wouldn't have been amazing if the big reveal was the landlord was the killer.
Yeah,
he just pulls off the mask and it's just like a fat suit. And he was just like,
I don't mean to be making fat jokes again. I'm a big dude myself, but the dude is like 400 pounds.
Oh yeah, like a solid 4.
Yeah, like a solid 400-pound man.
Yeah, but he wore it well.
Actually, he was so confident in himself. I thought he was a great character. He's, I'm feeling poorly. I was wondering if you would go to the store for me. Yeah. I just thought he was great. He made the most of, I think he was brought in to chew up the scenery. I even looked a bit into his background. Unfortunately, he died young. But he was just asked to do the role because he was a bouncer at a gay club. I was just going, I have to. This guy's so wonderfully weird. I have to get him in.
If that dude's the bouncer of the club, I'm fucking that club up.
You're just going in and
because I'm guaranteed I'm going to get away from him. I'm not running that motherfucker on a bad day.
I still don't understand why you have to fuck up the club. It's sort of like any given time, I'm not fucking up.
Away with it.
I'm not going to fuck up this club because
it's like I walk in, it's like, yeah, I'm fucking this club.
Yeah, it's like walk into an old folks home and go, scared to hear shit. I'm burning this bitch.
But it's the ground.
I have to say, this film, just speaking of manic shit, this film, when it was, we were talking about, yesterday, we were talking about Rosemary's Baby, and there was great scores that built it up. But I love this film, almost kind of went the other way, and there was kind of violence just on the turn of a dime. Yeah,
it was very Psycho-esque. I found the score to be.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it was always a big
sharp
knife. A sharp knife and multiple stabs. Literally, just somebody who had no, let's just say, was not a butcher or a doc. Nobody that had skill with a blade. Just willingness to just stab you until you stop moving.
Do you think it's a case of where Psycho looked into the maybe schizophrenia in a sense because he thought he was his mother and his mother. Do you think this was a case of on the back of Psycho we see another kind of look at the different mental aspects, this time as a child who's showing sociopathic tendencies when the fucking in this movie the way they use the score similarly, I think maybe they were trying to recapture a little bit of that psycho magic, because even the stab emotions are backed up by the score in the same way as Psycho is, and even that it kind of tries to set the scene in similar ways of the Hitchcock movie, and it's kind of the way it sets and builds scenes. I think the score, the way it's used, is very similar to Psycho, and even the subgenre where it's looking at the mental kind of fragilities of humanity or whatever. But this time, it's a child showing sociopathic tendencies, and with the other one, it's the psychosis is split personality disorder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The psychosis when we find out that it's the woman, the caretaker for the home of the priest, we find out this is the psychosis that has obviously nurtured inside of her and come to absolute, complete, and total fruition.
Yeah,
as in she was literally a maniac. Yeah. A full-blown maniac. So I think they were trying to show, I suppose, the scope of psychosis.
It's really the inverse, though. It's kind of when you want at the big end of the reveal of Psycho, see Norman Bates as the mother, and this one time you see an old woman as the child.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? So it's nearly like the inverse, because the whole way through you're looking at the child's mental breakdown, like, and you think at the very end you're going to see the child being there's no woman, but it's nearly the exact opposite.
There's a moment, and like it did occur to me, and I missed it on another day, and it was when the older Monsignor, like the senior priest,
Monsignor,
he was well in, he was in his late 70s, and maybe he didn't have
the senior pedo.
Oh God, he didn't have all of his faculties, and he was saying, "Tell the children to stay out of my room." And she's like, "There's no children here," or anything like that. Then I realised that she's going around in the kid's mask, wearing the yellow jacket, that the school jacket, the yellow
St.
raincoat.
Michael's or something.
Yeah.
Which is St. Michael's name of the
St.
school.
Michael
and
San Miguel. Yeah. And he realised that he's probably been seeing her, because she's obviously been a bit more lackadaisical with a character that it doesn't have 100% of his faculties, so would be less likely to be
because you can fob it off as
you can fob it off. But this is what we were saying. There's always like a 4-year-old kid can just have an imagination. A dog, stupid dog, barking at shadows. Whatever. There's always good to use a character. But it was, for me, it was a little nod.
Sorry, go on.
But for me, it was a little nod that I didn't pick up on, that she was the killer. But I did pick up on that and go, what is that? What's the thing? What's the thing there? What is the priest alluding to? Because, I always say in a film, if somebody like picks up a picture frame, looks at it and puts it back down, and say that's relevant. Because he's going to have that Cluedo, just one more Columbo, just one more thing, sir. I noticed the picture frame. Everything happens in a film for a reason, and that one I was like, what is that? What is the priest scene? Kids in the house? Why would there be a child in the house? I did not fucking pick it up. And the reveal.
Why would you be a kid in a priest's house?
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder.
And the reveal of the killer 2/3 of the way, when the best kill of the film was definitely the father. He thinks he's chasing his niece down. And obviously a woman with like a small body type could pass for a teenager or even a younger girl. Follows into a warehouse. What?
I don't see an old woman, her gait, mimicking a child's.
I
just don't see it.
But actually later in the film, you see where there's a cop and he's parked right at the corner, and he's, and Yuan, the killer, like, she cycles down on a bicycle. And she's wearing the mask and the coat and everything. And she just cycles around the corner and she just fucks off. And the cop is sitting there and never even looks up. And I thought it was cool. But like, the thing is, I think she did a good job of it. That woman was surprised. She only passed away in 2010 and well into her 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jesus. It's not bad for a woman. You think that film was in 1976 and she lived for another 43 years?
Jesus Christ.
33 years? 33 years.
Yeah, she lived like a whole life after that film.
Oh, a whole life after that film.
Know what I mean?
Your lifetime after that film.
Well, 10 years older than me, like, no biggie.
No, 33 years.
Hashtag click it to youth.
Hashtag. Oh, you're supposed to say something after hashtag. Hashtag. But tell me, what did you think of the film? It was a little bit manic. But I found myself completely not immersed in the same way I was with My Baby, not even remotely. But I found myself that I really enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it? There's the simplest question.
Yeah, no, I did enjoy it. It was a weird film. Like, it kept me off kilter. I definitely thought it was just going to be a straightforward, we're going to look into what it's like seeing a child given to sociopathic tendencies. And in that big red herring at the end, I'm not sure if it was necessary. I didn't even recognize the character, so it didn't really have that impact on me. Kind of like when I seen Bone Collector. I'm the Bone Collector. Like, who the fuck are you, dude? Like, you took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. That kind of thing, like, So, but like, for me, I enjoyed the initial part of what I thought the story was, and I'm not saying it's the story's fault that it ended up being something I didn't think it was, but I enjoyed that was a film that was being brave and looking at what it was like to see a 12-year-old becoming a serial killer. Yeah. And I thought that was a very interesting take.
But see, when I think we should save it for the second half.
Yeah.
But it does kind of, I think, delve into that. I think it does a good job of going full circle.
Oh, yeah, it shows the potentiality of her being a serial killer.
Yes.
But I would have loved to have actually seen her being a serial killer.
Yes.
Because that's not something we see.
And I think another thing the film called...
Weird sentence. I'd love to see her being a serial killer.
I think another thing it touches upon is things a parent will tell themselves.
Yeah.
To
deny
and justify when it is their own flesh and blood.
It's kind of harkens back to Rosemary's Baby, like,
yeah, absolutely, it does.
Like, that power of deniability is very fucking
and understandable, even in extreme circumstances. Understandable,
yeah.
Like, why would you? Why would you? You know,
because at the end of the day, it's still your flesh and blood.
It's still your flesh and blood.
You. There's you're in that person. Like,
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
a piece of you in them. If you're not all bad, then they can't be all bad because there's a piece of you in them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, so that's the way it goes. But do you want to get the fuck out here for the break?
You get out here for the break.
All right, cool. So, folks, right, we'll be back with more of Alice, Sweet Alice, and we'll kind of break down a little bit after the break about what we thought about the not the descent in mad, but the exploration into what it's like into a child psychosis that's on the verge of becoming a serial killer. But excuse me. So I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Don Tui.
We got Carmack in the back. This is Invasion of the Potty Snatchers, and we'll be back after the break, motherfuckers. Now, a word from our sponsors.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horror-thon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
Welcome back from the break. This is Invasion of Potty Snatchers. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, John Tui.
We got Carmack in the back, and we're back with some more Alice, Sweet Alice. So, no, before we went to the break, we kind of went through the different stages of the kind of the big reveal of the killer in Alice, Sweet Alice. But, like, throughout it, the as we said in the first half, the ultimate red herring was Alice herself, because they showed her journey, like, from her kind of fractious relationship with her sister. But you know, like there's a lot of
strained.
Fractured kind of like, you know, for probably not the word I was trying, but close enough. But so I just think like the show from get go, like her relationship with the sister, that she's a bit jealous of her, that her mother dotes on Karen, and Alice is
Karen's the good child.
Yeah, exactly. And Alice is a little bit ostracized, a little bit even within her own home, you know.
Yeah.
And like I think
and she ostracizes herself with what she does,
with her strange behavior, and
that
stuff
creates frustration, and she ends up ostracizing herself more.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle because her strange behavior makes her mother feel distant from her, and her mother
makes her angry herself, and then her strange behavior increases.
Yeah, exactly. Because like she's acting out, always looking for
acting out. Yeah, even stealing the veil.
Yeah,
and like just small things.
Because the only way she gets attention from her mother is negative attention.
Yeah, and
so
she's also a bit kleptomaniac because she keeps all these things in a little box, and that's a kind of theme throughout.
Yeah. Like serial killers, she keeps trophies.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, she's the burgeoning serial killer. Like that's what I thought this whole story was going to be about.
But that's the thing. If you jump to the end where she's the priest realizes that it's Miss Stradoni that's the killer,
where she fucks him up in the middle of a mass, like starts stabbing the shit out of him.
She stabs him right in the throat, and then she dies hugging him. But
right in your Eucharist maker.
Yeah, but then when Alice takes the bag that you wanted brought, and the weapon, the killer's weapon, and everything is in it, and she just walks out.
Yeah,
and you can realize that like she's seen it all now, and if anything, everything that's happened has not obviously helped a very fragile ego. Yeah, it's fractured it. As in, it's just going to maybe it would have come to the same place, but the acceleration that was being offered to her by Miss Stradoni, as in, it was an accelerant, a flame meeting an accelerant.
Do you think it was a case of, and this is going to reinforce her need to act out, and because she looks at Miss Stradoni, look at all the attention she got for her actions, and that's something that plays on Alice. Throughout the start of the movie, the more and more she misbehaves, the more and more she gets attention. Yeah. So she craves weird situations or dangerous situations, just negative kind of situations where she'll get that attention from her mother.
Might have even been one of the reasons that she didn't tell her mother that she started menstruating and stuff like that. Yeah. Because the one thing she did really like was just to be doted on. Yeah. She still felt that, you know. She still, that was like this one kind of like one weak chain in her defense, is that she still felt that need to be accepted, and she just went about it the wrong way all of the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's her massive weakness.
Massive weakness. Yeah.
Because she tries to be. She needs the acceptance, but the way she looks and she goes about it is always in the wrong way.
Exactly.
And eventually she starts going against being accepted, and then she wants just that. I think it's like when you go throughout the movie, I think she wants to be less and less what she looks at being accepted. And she starts mimicking. She understands, like when she goes back, I think her mother's leaving her at the institute, wherever they leave her. And she it's kind of like it dawns on her, it's like, oh, in this situation, I'm actually supposed to be distraught. And she goes running after her mother.
Yeah.
It's like it's an afterthought. It's learned behavior. It's not natural behavior, you know? She's like, that's one thing at the start, it's like, she's trying to get her mother's attention. And after a while, she starts to like nearly harness her psychopathy, nearly, like, you know what I mean?
Mimicry and
yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing. So it's funny. It's you see it one in quite a again, behavioral abnormalities.
Yeah.
And one is a woman who is so far beyond the brink.
Yeah.
That like, remember she doesn't get the Eucharist from the priest, the killer, Mr. Donny, and she was like, but you give it to the and he just give it to Alice, and I thought that was very relevant, and I was about to skip over that, and it happens twice in the film, albeit like once if they discover the child, and the second time they're trying to
she hasn't taken Holy Communion,
confront the killer, but it's both times you see she doesn't get it, but she goes, but you give it to the whore, and she points at your one in the middle of the. And then I thought when she stabbed the priest in the neck, that was another great kill.
Yeah, oh Jesus Christ! That's what I'm saying, like straight out. That's what
straight out.
She literally goes from 0 to megaton like so quickly, and because some slashers the killer play, but as soon as she gets you in her crosshairs, the knife is out,
and you see when she kills the landlord, and when we both see it with the landlord and the priest. Because the first child you kill, and she's wearing a mask, you don't see her face or how it's affecting her, and. When she's killing the father, the landlord, and the priest, you like, especially from the priest, it gives you the camera angle where we get first person view, and it's like the camera looks like it's about to fall, and she looks stressed out.
Yeah,
like she looks like something horrible has happened to her.
Yeah,
and it was the same when she was attacked by the landlord, and then she stabs him twice, maybe 3 times, and she looks like she's like under a lot of duress.
Yeah,
but she's the one who's stabbing everyone. She's fucking absolutely completely off the wall at that stage.
I don't want to make a fat joke, but you definitely need to stab that dude more than 3 times to kill him.
Yeah, he was a big man.
Like you'd probably have to like carve away, like it'd be like a ham. You'd have to carve away the rind.
Jeez.
And just get to be. Come on, she killed him. I'm just making fun.
We're just because we're sitting here with our shredded abs.
Yeah,
I just feel like we don't need to make that everybody else. You know what I mean? Adonises that we are.
Well, I'm critiquing a scene here, Noel.
But in all those kills, you can see that she's under a lot of duress.
Yeah.
So she's not even that she's enjoying it. It almost feels
she's that like conflict with herself.
She's the one who has to do it.
Yeah.
Because she was even see that scene where I thought she was going to kill Catherine, the mother.
Yeah.
Where she brings her in offers her coffee, and I thought she'd poison the coffee or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't really turn out that way. She tells her about her own dead daughter, and she points the knife at her, and she says, you know, that she takes care of the priests and all that kind of stuff. And he realised that everything she's done, she thinks it's ultimately the right thing to do.
In service of the Lord.
It serves the Lord, and unfortunately,
do you think you were distrustful of the coffee because you just watched Rosemary's Baby, and every time Rosemary was handed something, there was something.
Everything. Yeah. Stop! Just drink tap water. Don't even do that. Bottled water.
No, does this have an undertaste to you?
Yeah.
Kind of chalky undertaste.
I thought she was going to kill her, because like you see her pick up a knife, but again the priest comes back and then she gets the bad news that the husband was dead.
Sorry,
the priest comes back and she gets the bad news that the husband was dead.
Oh yeah, the mother or the wife,
the Catherine. Yeah.
She gets a phone call, doesn't she?
I thought the priest came through the door.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I just seen her step out of the room.
Then the priest was suddenly down at the police station, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah. So it's the only point I'm trying to remember, because I've only seen this once. But the only point she kills not wearing the mask is the priest at the end.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So
she gets the mask. She pulls off the mask when she's killing the father, so she can rant at him. Yeah. And that's when he bites the cross.
Do we see her face when she kills the father? No, we don't.
We do, yeah. He sees it. That's the reveal. And I remember thinking it was strangely early. Yeah. It was just over the halfway mark.
Yeah.
And in actuality, she'd only had one kill, because she'd killed the child and she tried to kill Auntie Annie. But she hadn't succeeded in killing Annie. And then for the last, there was 3 more kills that she was going to have, and we knew who she was. And that's quite a span of the film as well, But I find it hard to fault. It was weird. This film was very erratic and chaotic, and I don't know whether that was by design.
Yeah, which could have kind of mirrored the characters. In the story.
Exactly. Because we watched Rosemary's Baby, which was so extremely polished and contained, even though it dealt with literal madness.
Yeah.
But this felt like it was more
of a frenetic madness.
Yeah, that's actually good.
Hers is kind of like a descent, as we talked about. Yeah. What we think is a descent into madness ends up just being descent in this weird, dark realization of acceptance. And this is kind of like this kind of freneticism of she's at odds with herself. It's like something I just touched on a second. It's like she only kills the priest without her mask on. So maybe the reason she doesn't poison the mother or kill this because she has to keep up face. Yeah. Like the one thing.
Well, with acceptance with the landlord pulls her mask off, and with the father, she pulls her own mask off just to scream at him, and then it all gets out of hand. And I think she wanted the mask on, but with the priest, she wasn't planning on killing him at all. Yeah, he thought he would cat's out of the bag. Yeah, and he would probably help her because even you see when she wakes up and she has that idea, she looks and she has a picture of the priest right by her bedside. Yeah. Like she loved him. She was obsessed with him in some sort of capacity, whether that was romantic or she just idolized him as a man of God. Yeah. I don't know.
It's that weird, like an authoritarian figure. It's like, there's like someone that you trust or tell secrets. Like, cause, what do they call it? When people feel feelings for the therapist. I can't remember the word. They have a term for it. It's kind of like, it's this weird kind of grey area where you're attracted to them but you're not.
It's probably where, I suppose it's something to do with the fact that if it's somebody you can be incredibly vulnerable and feel safe with, that in itself is something that you can find attractive. Yeah. It's something that you crave in a partner for sure.
But it's weird. It's not even a romantic love. It's not platonic love. It's a weird like in between that you feel like you can, as you said, you can trust them or there's safety net near.
Or that they need each other. Yeah, that they need. That's why the priest was like when they realize it's her because the father has bit off the cross that was given to the daughter that she stole and can only be traced back to her.
Yeah, because that was the thing that was missing from her body.
Exactly. That's when the priest said, "No, let me do it. She won't hurt me." Because he knows that like they
transference. That's what it's called.
Transference. I like that. Like he was so sure, even when he found out that she's a serial killer. At this point, she had 3 known murders under her belt, and an attempted murder that they know of, and he still just said, "No, she'll just come up to me and I'll get her to walk out here." Wrong.
Wrong. Because he believed her one, no matter her what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? No matter her flaws as a person, that she always believed in the Lord. Yeah. And he believed that you get her into a house of God, that she won't sin or commit murder in the house of God because she believes in the Lord. But he didn't understand that this is a woman that's not just unraveling, she's unraveled.
Oh no, fully.
She's gone, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she was there in the communion dress.
The mask quite literally slipped.
The mask is quite literally slipped.
You know what I mean?
And she even brought, she even brought everything in a bag. Yeah. I don't know whether she was planning on confessing or killing. Actually, that's the thing. I think one of the most frenetic kind of things about the film is that I know she was pissed off about the cross, but you don't get exactly why she's doing it. And sometimes, you could go back to Scream and the killers are doing it because they're doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the reason she's doing it is because, when someone becomes so bottled up that it just explodes out of them. Yeah. This is a woman that's probably been living a life of servitude for 40, 50 years. Yeah, probably, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like half a century.
Probably come back from the old country.
Slight after slight after slight.
Being looked over.
Just little things.
It seemed like the cross was definitely the thing where she was looked over.
Just little things.
And the priest even said, "Who else would I give it to?"
Exactly.
My mother's
it's probably a case of like someone got preferential treatment this time. But
this was the time.
Yeah, and that was just
and that woman who was pregnant going into her marriage, which is the sin, which made her a whore in her eyes. Like she calls her a whore. Yeah. Determined.
Illegitimate child,
just from having these. An illegitimate child, then I guess is what she, or at least
that's what it's called back then.
Yeah. But that's actually probably the closest thing I get to an explanation. The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And then she wanted to destroy her world because she ends up killing. It's a woman. It's a divorced woman with 2 daughters. Yeah. She ends up killing the ex-husband, who she still has feelings for, killing her youngest daughter, and seems to be trying to pin it on her surviving daughter.
Yeah.
So that would be the absolute epitome of the... Because sometimes the film, again, the nature of it didn't feel like it was about Catherine.
Yeah.
It felt like it was about Alice.
Yeah.
But there's an argument, when you look at it from that perspective, it was about Catherine.
Yeah, you just don't realise it.
You just don't realise it.
Yeah, and that's why it's clever.
That's why, yeah, and that is actually a clever thing when you
know
break
what I mean?
down. Because I'm only realising it even now, sitting here, because we're talking about the psychosis of the daughter and all that. But really, he was the one trying to destroy Catherine, and she did an excellent job of it.
Yeah.
She really did, though. Even getting caught, even by the time she's caught, she's taken out the priest, her closest confidant, her ex-husband, and one of her daughters.
And turn the other one against her.
And turn the other one against her. Yeah, and the other daughter...
Through her actions.
Yeah, and then when the other daughters, again, the film pans out, and it had a very classic 70s ending where somebody turns around and looks at the camera. Norma Bates did it even in the 60s.
Damien did it in The Omen.
Yeah, exactly. It's a thing like, oh, I see you out there. That's right. This is real.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, I'm looking through the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a portent of what's to come.
And she's walking out with the killer's weapon, and I'm just like, well, bitch, they know you were sitting beside. Like, where?
The cops are atrocious in that movie.
The cops are atrocious in that movie.
Like the three, like they're obviously like got a sting or something, but the three dudes just chilling out front.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. That's why the priest dies.
That's
as soon as she goes in there, you're arresting her. Like,
all the
she's
priests
an old woman.
we'll have SWAT. Like, not in my church, you won't. What do you mean not in your church?
Yeah.
They choked the child to death and set her on fire like a week ago.
Yeah, dude. Like
all of the SWAT.
If I'm a cop, like, and a priest goes to me, not in my church, I'm like, come here, Father, just come here. No.
What's that God? What's that? All of the SWAT.
It's like, imagine if the priest
in the bell tower.
Like, the cop goes pure Schwarzenegger. You want to believe in God or believe in my Glock? I believe in my Glock. More End of Days reference. That movie's just on my mind.
Well, yeah, it is from yesterday's Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
But, I thought the film culminated. I really just felt it was a piece of... I talked about Rosemary's Baby yesterday, and I said it was a watershed, but I stand by everything I said. It's an iconic film. Yeah. It's probably one of the top 5 most influential horror films of all time. Yeah. This doesn't reach any of these pinnacles, but it was still a film that I'm annoyed at myself that it took me so long to get to.
Yeah, and
I enjoyed it. It really uses the kind of the aesthetic of the 70s really well. Obviously, it's a film based in the set. It's not like it was difficult, but I just thought kind of some of the sentiments and feelings of the time.
Yeah,
it captured
kind of grittiness or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no more, sorry for cutting across, but there's no more, I think, that captures the 70s in my mind as an outsider looking inside to the American experience. Is like 1970s New York.
Yeah.
That real gritty, that old Times Square, you know, that kind of thing. I think if you like
explosion of porn.
Yeah, exactly. Even though Hellraiser's in the 80s, I think Hellraiser captured that because that's set in like New York and Brooklyn or somewhere as well, isn't it? And it just captures that down, that gritty. Even like Rosemary's Baby, which spoke about like before. The hallways and stuff, even the pristine areas had that grit to it, and that nasty, that dirty.
Or a lot of people that you couldn't trust seemed to be around every corner.
Yeah.
The landlord that was downstairs, and the daughter herself was, like Catherine was just surrounded by
the American dream is dying at this.
Exactly.
Really,
and it whether it just touched upon that by happenstance or it was very carefully woven into, because that's the thing about films that can feel very thrown together. That in itself could be the art.
Yeah, and the thing about the movie as well, when you watch it, when you experience it, it's like it feels very frenetic, but in retrospect, it's quite a clever movie. You know what I mean? Like, because when you're trying to pick apart a movie like the way we do, that sometimes you'll actually start coming upon stuff through conversation that had more resonance than you thought it did.
Yeah, true.
And it had more of an importance, or it was a smarter move or a smarter way of telling the story than you...
then you gave it credit for.
Yeah, exactly. Because initially I was just disappointed, like, oh no, I kind of wanted this whole delve into the child's psychopathy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when you look at it, it's kind of like a parallel thing, and when we break down what are the possible motives for the killer, maybe it was just the straw, the last straw. The life of servitude.
Yeah, absolutely. The life
passed
servitude,
over.
yeah.
Now I'm looking at this woman that I look at, to use old Catholic terms, a harlot.
Yeah.
And I see her.
And don't forget, like, this woman is so devoutly religious, and this man had this beautiful cross, and it's like, oh, who else was I going to give it to?
Exactly, and just a child of sin.
And that's it. And this child who was probably born of sin or whatever the hell ordeal was.
Or a child of sin anyway, because the mother's a sinner.
The mother's a sinner, so
that's what I'm saying by proxy. Like
everything going forward.
Yeah, and that's why I think she wanted to stray the mother, because she looked at the mother as the encapsulation or whatever.
Oh, she did say that's when St. Michael, when he took my daughter in her communion, that's when I realised that the children play for the thing. I think the only person in it, and I thought this was what was clever, the only person that was in it in terms of their life, that was safe from her was the mother.
Yeah,
she wasn't the one who needed to pay.
She had to see
everyone around. Yeah. I want you standing.
I want you to see.
I want you to see.
You shall bear witness to the acts.
Yeah, because Karen is gone now. The child is gone.
Yeah, you're the child.
Yeah,
not just your child. The child. The number one child.
Yeah,
like the fucking the
apple of your eye.
Yeah, exactly. Like I killed her first. Look what I've left you with.
Yeah,
I left you with the child you hate. The child
and I'm going to make her into a killer.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to turn her on you.
Yeah,
you know.
So you live, because she was the only one. Because the priest, and even at the end, again, the priest was dead.
Yeah,
and the only reason Alice was probably never even a move was made on her is because she needed her alive as the patsy.
Yeah, and I like the way it's kind of like those, like, I'll turn the child against you, but I'll also turn you against your child.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, my actions are going to make you both out one another.
It all sounds so fucking well thought out and tactical, but she was actually just so manic in her approach.
Yeah,
but at the same time, when she chose her victim,
yeah,
like, she wasn't like clever. It wasn't Mission Impossible coming down from the ceiling.
Yeah,
you know? It was absolutely manic. But that's all you needed it to be, and especially when you're trying to say a 12-year-old is doing it, it just needs to be chaotic.
Yeah,
evil.
Clumsy.
Yeah, exactly, and it was clumsy.
Yeah,
again, the landlord's out was very clear. Yeah, exactly.
Because like a child will only kill you when the child has 100% chance of success.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you hear horrible stories about parents sleeping and baseball bat to the head kind of thing.
Yeah,
and she was
like the Menendez brothers killing their parents and shit like that. Like,
anyway, just to kind of like slowly wind down, would you recommend this film?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I think it might be even better on a second viewing, because like, the more we spoke about it, the more I kind of got it.
Yeah, this doesn't usually happen. Sometimes I have my opinions on a film and I just discuss them, but even just bouncing off you, because again, I'd only seen it once last night. I seen it the last 20 minutes of it with you again.
Exactly, and I've only seen it once, but so we kind of
learn about it as we're bouncing off each other. So yeah,
because there's definitely stuff you picked up and I didn't, and vice versa. Like, and that's the way it happens with first viewings.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
yeah,
that's why
the cinematography of this film was very good. I thought some of the shots they used were excellent, and I thought they weren't afraid of the violence and the gore and the kind of the crazy hammy acting that just worked for the 70s. So for those reasons, I definitely recommend this film.
Yeah, it's an interesting slasher movie, and it's one I'm surprised I never even heard of.
Never even heard of it. Strange. Yeah. Strange. No, I didn't know it was called Alice. I seen The Mask, man. Yeah. That was it. End of story. Like, we're both horror guys.
Yeah, and I was saying to you, it kind of had a bit of inspiration for a Happy Death Day. I remember.
The goofy, very goofy,
the hood up instead of the coat and shit, like
something where you could actually walk through a populated area and not scare anyone in the right circumstance, because it's more innocent than Ghostface or Jason.
Yeah, and it's the kind of mask 101 children would wear, because it's like $2 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that's the kind of thing that you get lost in you're obscure because it's so common.
Yes,
you know, that kind of way. Like,
that's it.
It's kind of a weird inverse.
As you see in the later,
I'm inversing all over
in the later Scream movies, where everyone was wearing a ghost face thing, and the ghost face was able to move amongst them.
So you're hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
And because and that's one thing. It's like when the juxtaposition of, like, you think it's the child hiding in plain sight, it's actually an old woman. And both these things are something you don't seem threatening. It's stuff we talked about before, like, you know. But I thought it was a very interesting film. I think it's a movie I'll watch again probably within the next year or so.
Yeah, I'll watch it in the next year. I'm going to make a deal with myself. Yeah. And the next 12 months I'm going to watch the movie.
And the fact that I never heard this movie and it's a pretty decent slasher shows to me that there's probably a few more out there.
See, that's the thing. Why 80s is such an iconic time for us.
Yeah.
For me and you, even just our personal tastes.
Because the golden age of horror.
Yeah, and of course we've seen Psycho and we've seen Rosemary's Baby and a lot of these films have come before, The Birds and stuff like that. But at the same time, I guess there's a lot of delving for us still to do, and maybe and that's a big thing. Alice has taught us.
The best thing about movies is no matter how many movies you'll see, you never see them all.
No.
You know,
there's already more hours of it than you're going to live.
Like literally right now, as we're talking about movies, there's probably been 10 movies made.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, like within the
on
lifespan
alone.
Yeah, within the lifespan of this podcast, there's probably been like 100 movies made.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, all around the world.
And even if only a percent is worth watching, still doesn't matter.
They still exist.
It still exists.
And you'll never see them all.
You'll never see them all.
Yeah, unlike Ash, we will not catch them all.
Oh, I like it.
So, Noel, that was Alice, Sweet Alice. Do you have any final thoughts, or we just get the fuck out of here?
No, I think we've covered it quite well. I think people should watch it if they want something that's a little bit off the wall, very of its time, and something that, I don't know, you may, if have like horror centric friends like we do, maybe you can sound like a bit of a smart ass to see more films than them, and that there's nothing we like more when we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow with some From Beyond, another Stuart Gordon movie. The reason I chose this movie was because our very first episode on Potty Snatchers was Reanimator, starring Jeff Combs.
Yeah,
directed by Stuart Gordon. And thought it'd be nice to call back from where we began.
Yeah,
our little origin story
before he reaches these apex heights,
the zenith of the podcasting world. So that was Alice, Sweet Alice. We'll be back tomorrow. So do you have anything else you want to say, or we just get the fuck out of here?
Just get the fuck out of here. Thanks for listening. Peace out, folks.
All right, folks, that was the Invasion of Potty Snatchers. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Nathan Tui.
We got Carmack in the back. That was Alice, Sweet Alice. We'll be back tomorrow with
From Beyond
by Stuart Gordon. A fucking nice 1980s movie that I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah. So see you next time, folks. And that was Invasion of Potty Snatchers.
Peace.
Man, Carol's going to have so much blackmail in us.
Yeah, I know, yeah. As long as we don't bring up the murder.
The incident, I call it. You know, the time where we murdered that young woman.
Yeah.